Circumference! Where to begin? There's just so much fun when we talk about circumference. I love teaching circumference. I guess I'll begin by saying what circumference is. Circumference is the distance around the outside edge of a circle. So you can see my word circumference here is going around the edge. It's like the perimeter of the circle pretty much. And these two stars indicate that this is a flashcard term. It's a term worth memorizing. So we'll say it again. Circumference is the distance around the outside edge of a circle. Next thing we ought to know is diameter. Diameter is any straight line from one point on a circle to another point on a circle that goes through the center point. And this center point here is, you can see that little red dot right there. It's point A, and a circle is always named for its center point. So this circle would actually be called circle A. So again, this will be a flashcard term. So let's say it again. It's any straight line from one point on a circle to another point on a circle that goes through the center point. And there is an unlimited amount of diameters in a circle. So this circle right here, we could have a diameter there, we could have a diameter there. I don't know, I might have put other diameters here. But there's an unlimited number. So an infinite amount of diameters, they can go through from one edge to the other. All these line segments, though, they're all going to be the same measure because they're going in a straight line through the center point. And another term to know is a radius. Now, a radius is a little different than diameter. It's any line segment from the center point to any point on the edge of the circle. So you see it goes from the center point. It doesn't keep going this way. So and a radii is just more than one radius. This again is a flashcard term. So it's any line segment from the center point to any point on the edge of the circle. And you can see it's halfway there, whereas the diameter, right, that went all the way. And just like diameter, though, we can have multiple radii. I've got a few listed here. You get the idea. They're all going to be the same distance because they go from the center point to the edge of the circle. So when we start talking about diameter and radius, these are your wolf with circles, your main thing that you will get wrong when you get something wrong. The radius here would be 5 meters. So what would be the diameter? Well, the diameter is going to be twice as long as the radius. So you'd multiply 5 times 2. And we would get, in this instance, 10 meters. And you can see this was circle T. Again, the circle is named for its center point. All right, we see a nice little colorful circle here. And this time they give us the diameter. The diameter is 7 meters. So what they're saying is the distance from A going through center point B and all the way over to C is 7 meters. So they want to know, what's the radius? What's the distance from B to D? Or what's the distance from B to A? Or what's the distance from B to C? So we have 3 radii in this instance. And the distance would be, since diameter is twice as long, we would divide 7 by 2. So 7 divided by 2 would be 3.5 meters. So your radius here would be 3.5 meters. And again, if we wanted to call these line segments, going back to geometry, this is line segment AB. We could say that line segment AB from here to here is 3.5 meters. And we could say the same thing about line segment BC. We could say the same thing about line segment BD up here. Next thing I want to look at is we want to find the circumference, right? That's that first term we learned, the distance around the outside edge of a circle. So what's the distance around the outside edge of the circle? Well, I can see my diameter, my edge from my point from here all the way over, passing through my center point. I never gave this a center point. Let's call this circle C. And all the way over to the other edge is 10 kilometers. So just like when we did area of rectangles and parallelograms and triangles, we're going to start with the formula. So the formula in this case is C equals pi times D. So we have that listed right there. In pi, we're going to substitute the number 3.14. It's important to understand pi does not equal exactly 3.14. That's just a rounded number. It goes on for a lot longer after that. We could be here all day if you wanted me to say the whole number. It's 3.1415 and it keeps going on from there. It's a decimal that never ends. And we have 3.14 times 10 in this instance, since d, the diameter, is 10. And when we solve that, we get 31.4. Just like with area of and perimeter of rectangles and basically any other shape, we want to put units, and we don't want it to be kilometers squared because we're talking about a perimeter here, a distance around. So we just leave it as kilometers. And again, we do formula, substitute, solve. This time they didn't give me the diameter, they gave me the radius. So it's a little bit different. The formula we're going to use is c equals 2 times pi times r. Now if you wanted to use the formula c equals pi times d again, you could do that. The trick is, again, this is the wolf, you're just going to make sure you double this. So your diameter here would be 12. You could use either formula, whatever formula you're comfortable with. So I'll show you this formula. This is 2 times 3.14 times 6. So my 6 and my 2 is eventually going to make this 12 anyway. And then when we solve this out, and this is circle G, we get 6.28 times 6. And if you multiply that out, you get C equals 37.68 meters. Just to recap really quickly, circumference is the distance around a circle. Diameter is a straight line from one edge of the circle to another edge that goes through the center point. Radius is a line segment from the center point to the edge of the circle. And then a wolf, to remember, a radius is half a diameter.